Alrighty, what do we have today? Menagerie and Dark Ages. Wait a second, Raider is neither of those. It must be a 3 expansion day. Menagerie, Dark Ages, and Nocturne. So how about this Kingdom? Off the bat, there's some very powerful thinning. Bounty Hunter, I think, is one of the best cards in the game. It does the 2 main things you want in the opening, which is helps you get thin and also helps you hit 5. Falls off a little bit later once you've exiled a copy of Copper and a copy of an estate, but then it picks up again once you're adding green cards to your deck that you want to exile. So all around, very good card. Pixie, a good card in its own right, but it also means you start with a Goat in your starting deck. And Goat is a strong thinner, mostly just because you're starting with it immediately and you get that effect before you've even shuffled your deck for the first time. So it's easy to get very thin here. Counterfeit also, nothing to sneeze at. Villages, we also have 2 of the strongest $4 villages, Minstrel and Hostelry. So good on that front. Draw may be a little bit more limited. There is Livery, which is in theory just like almost limitless draw. It is not uncommon with Livery in the Kingdom to just empty the horse pile. The trouble is, it's draw that requires you to draw your draw cards, and then you can draw, because like you got to play a few liveries and buy a few things to get enough horses to have enough to draw your deck. And then the question is, well, how did you get to the stage where you were able to play multiple liveries and buy multiple things? And so a lot of times what you want is like some other decent draw card that kicks your deck off, and then you have the liveries, and that's what turns it up to 11. But there's not another draw card here that does that. There's Hostelry. So maybe like you buy a Hostelry once, you get a bunch of horses, discarding your coppers, and that kickstarts your deck. Or maybe you're just thin enough off the bat. I don't know. Like we said, there's top tier thinning here. But the goal is Livery for sure. It just might be slow to get set up if there's not other draw to kickstart it. Plus buy, we got Counterfeit, we got Skulk, and I believe we had Way of the Monkey. So any card can be plus buy if you want it to. Oh, also, I didn't mention, but Toil is a village. Definitely outclassed by Minstrel and Hostelry. You want to be using those if you can. But Toil can be a village in a pinch at a cost. Like if you have excess horses in your hand, for example, you just like Toil all of them for 2. You get 1 money back in a buy. It's effectively like converting 1 buy into 1 money if you have an extra horse to do that on. So we got buy, we got thinning, we got some amount of draw, and we got villages. We'll be building here. There's a few attacks. Raider, super weak in general, no exception here. Lovely art though. Knights could matter. Late in the game, they mostly just hit horses. If your deck is full of horses, you'll probably have a horse in one of your top 2 cards, and that's not a big deal. Early on, maybe Knights can matter. I actually don't remember what the top Knight is. Never mind, I was just kidding about Knights matter and Knights up. Dame Josephine is the weakest of the Knights. And Servander, I think, is like the 2nd weakest to have on top. The Knights pile, I think, can be more or less relevant based on which card is on the top of the pile, because there's like a strong Knight to start, like Dame Anna or Sir Michael or Sir Destry, for example. Then you want to buy that, and then, oh, now you've countered to Knights. A good counter to that is taking Knights, and then you've headed on down the Knights path. But if you got a Cork on top that no one wants to touch, like Dame Josephine, sometimes it's just Knights don't get touched, because you don't want to be the one who bought the shitty Knight and then surprise the best Knights right underneath it. So I don't think Knights can be relevant, mostly on top of Dame Josephine being on top. Coven also looks terrible here. Coven's one of those cards that gets better the worse the rest of the Kingdom is, because it's just like it sets a timer on the game. It's just like, you gotta win before this thing happens. Or realistically, you have to win within like 1 turn after this thing happens. Because if they drop curses into your discard, you still get 1 more playthrough of your deck before you reach the curses for the first time. And it's just usually true that timer is too slow to matter. In a weak Kingdom it can matter, and then if you put 10 curses in their deck, that hurts. But usually the answer to Coven is just like outpace it, and then it does nothing. And that certainly seems true here given the quality of the thinning. Alrighty, how to open Bounty Hunter, that seems obvious. And Pixie also seems obvious. I would definitely try. I was briefly contemplating trashing a Copper here, just because like sometimes when you're opening with a Trash for Benefit card, like Remodel or Broker, for example, from yesterday's Kingdom, you might want to trash the Coppers with Goat, because your Broker can deal with estates better. And I mean, kind of sort of Bounty Hunter is Trash for Benefit, but really Bounty Hunter just needs to exile 1 estate to get the 3 money from that. Doesn't need to exile all 3 of them. I mean, you get 1 point at the end of the game, but that's not worth thinking about. Good boon, please. Great boon. Love that. Probably the best boon. I mean, definitely the best boon in general, I would say. Probably the best boon here as well, at least if you get it early. I have half a mind to maybe not trash this turn. Both livery and counterfeit look like cards that I would reasonably want next. Whereas, like, I definitely want villages, but I don't need villages right now when I have no terminals. I don't want to buy Skulk before I have a livery in play. I didn't mention this, but Skulk also strikes me as a pretty good synergy with livery, and also potentially answer that question of how do you get the livery deck to kick off? And the answer might just be like, you play 2 liveries, you buy Skulks, you're effectively getting 2 4+ cost cards for the cost of 1. That gets you the horses to then draw your deck, and then you're good from there. So I think Skulk could be relevant, but not right now. Yeah, I don't think I want any of the 4s at the moment. I don't think I need a second bounty hunter. So I think I'm going to buy probably counterfeit. Could be straight delivery as well. But I'm going to say counterfeit. And here my options are exile copper, buy minstrel probably, or exile an estate, buy a pixie. I'm just going to take the pixie. Wait a second. Why did I think... I guess I've been talking about exiling the estate. In my head, I had already done that with the bounty hunter. I didn't think I was going to make money off of that. Well, never mind. Let's just buy livery. Yeah, this kingdom's getting going very fast, and that's just the strength of bounty hunter and goat. We've already thinned 3 cards and added 2 5 costs to the deck as of turn 4. And here's 3 more money. 7 money. Wowza. I can do that. So I think the 2 options that stick out to me are Hostery, discard copper for a horse, buy pixie, or just buy a second livery already, and then buy a pixie. I don't have the terminal space to play them both, but there's Toil. It's like if I'm temporarily over terminal and I find both liveries in the same hand, Toil could come in handy. Probably just livery directly, I think sounds better. Hardbot, what the hell? So I follow everything up to this line in the log. Hardbot's got a bounty hunter, got a minstrel, got a livery. All of that makes total sense to me. And then something happened here, and Hardbot was driven mad and just gone totally off the rails. Why had you monkey the livery? It means you don't get a horse off of it. And then why did you buy a coven? This doesn't make any sense to me. Hello, livery. I need a village now, so probably this ought to be Hostery, because I see a lot of horses in hand. Man, if I find none of those horses, I'm going to be a little bit miffed. What do I have? 5 horses in the deck? Why can't I see what boon it got? What boon did it get? I should know that. Looks like River's Gift or Earth's Gift. I didn't see either of those. Swamp's Gift was me. Huh. River's Gift strikes me as probably worth taking at that point. I'm not sure if that's the one it got or if it was Earth's Gift. Earth's Gift also might be good if you have the coppers on hand to discard. The 4s here are quite strong. I'm going to take this just in case. Probably more likely to draw than not, but if I don't find the Hostery, I'm definitely going to want a village effect. Good job, Will-O-Wisps. No, it's just singing your praises too. What's my bottom card? I played uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. I think this is my last horse. Probably a copper then. Yeah, I discarded 4 copper. I see 3 copper. Last card's a copper. I don't need to draw that. I think I might just want the money and the buys by doing this. And I'm gonna do this so I can see how much it is, and maybe I'll reconsider. But I think with like 3 coppers left, probably I'm fine dealing with those with the counterfeit. Like in theory, like I could want the goat around to deal with curses, like from a skulk, for example, or from the covens that the bot is buying for some reason. But like that is a million turns off. I'm not holding onto the goat just for that. Yeah, I think this looks good. So it's 15 and 3 buys, or up to 17 and 3 buys if I don't buy hostelry. Or let me reconsider this. If I do it this way, that's still 15. I probably don't need the extra 2 money. And then I can bounty hunt the goat next turn. Yeah, that seems fine. So probably then just like hostelry, livery, skulk. That's a bunch of horses and some payload. What boon did you get this? I wish the log should tell you what boon. That's not hidden information. Ah, the bot got moon boon. The straggler of the boons. Certainly the weakest by a large margin. I probably shouldn't. I think playing the Will-O-Wisp is likely to be a mistake. The Will-O-Wisps are mostly just going to draw 1 card from here on out. They're great in the early game for kicking off because they draw your coppers and stuff. But given the composition of this deck, they're not going to draw very often. And so probably it's better to play the horses for 2 draw and then consider monkeying the Will-O-Wisps as needed. Like here, for example. Okay. Livery, livery. Time to stow away the goat. I think so. Seems fine. Livery. Counterfeit. I guess I could also contemplate exiling a horse at the cost of still having the goat in the deck, but it's not much of a cost if I'm drawing my deck anyway. Exiling the horse would be 1 more money because I could still play the goat for money. I'm not going to bother. I think it's fine either way. Toil. I want buys. Greed. That could matter, maybe. If it causes them to dud. It does go into the top of the deck. The reason they were thinking for a second was because they have a copper in exile, and so they got the prompt to, do I want to unexile my coppers? To which the answer is no, obviously not, but Hardbot needed a minute to collect its wits and figure that out for itself. Toil and monkey. 4 buys seems like enough. What, 16? Probably like a pixie of 4 and 2 5s, something like that. Actually, I think I want more villages. I just had to toil stuff. And villages mean you don't have to toil stuff anymore. Maybe there's just 4/4 costs. Like 3 villages and a skulk. I'm not having trouble drawing, so I don't think I need another livery at the moment. Let's just do this. Okay, so yeah, the livery wasn't actually that hard to get going after all. It is turn 8, and I've lowered the horses to 11. Now back up to 12. Yeah, I think the combination of just being very thin naturally made it easy to line up the liveries, and then the skulks I think are also a good way to kind of double the number of horses you're gaining per buy. I mean, it was not hard to get to a point where the deck is full of horses. The bot has 2 liveries, a village. All of that makes sense, except it seems to have been very literally possessed for a turn or two to take a detour into dabbling in the dark arts. Those covens are definitely going to cost it. I did the wisp thing again, and I shouldn't have. Another reason not to play the wisps potentially is like if the minstrels flip the copper, you could potentially line up a will-o-wisp hit later on in the turn. Although I have only the 1 copper remaining, so that point is going to expire soon. Okay, well here I can just play the 1 wisp to draw the last one, so as to not waste a horse. I don't have any horses in the exile mat at the moment. Let's just make 1 money. Livery, livery, livery. Skulk, skulk, buys. Copper into curse probably doesn't matter very much. The bot has a counterfeit, so curse is slightly harder to deal with. But bounty hunting a curse gives you 3 money, whereas bounty hunting an additional copper doesn't. So not a huge deal, I think, either way. If anything, it might be slightly friendly because it got the copper off the top of their deck, which is not where you want the coppers to be. Well, I got a bounty hunter that no longer has much of a use, so let's buy a victory card so it can feel useful. Duchy. Unexile the horse. How about I toil horse? Now I can do like pixie, livery, counterfeit, hostelry. Buying cards is more of an art than a science. You just kind of click what tickles your fancy and it usually works out. As long as I'm not coven. Does not work out if you click coven. If the bot's not fast, it might get locked out of the horses. One thing that can happen in livery games is that if you're the first to the punch at doing the livery stuff and you just gain all the horses, well then all the horses are in your deck. So if your opponent then plays 3 liveries and buys 4 things, there aren't any horses to gain, and then they're stuck. And then like you spend all the horses in your turn, they go back to the pile, then you put them right back into your deck in the buy phase, and then the bot just has no way into the game if it needs horses to draw, and the horses are all monopolized. Look at this. Oh my goodness, look at this. I can play a will-o-wisp. And it activated. Honestly, I should probably be buying hostelries over minstrels at this stage in the game, just because it's going to prompt me every time, like, what order do you want these 3 action cards to be in? And the answer is, it doesn't matter, I have 6 horses in hand. And hostelry is pleasantly unconcerned. I mean, strategically you should buy minstrel, because there's 0 downside. But for purposes of economizing your time, let's play liveries first, just in case I get Earth Gift. Nope, don't need that. I have way more draw than necessary. Poor bot. There's not a win here, is there? Probably not, right? A win would look like emptying Pixie's estates and curses, but a lot of buys. This is 6 buys. This is maximum 11 buys. Yeah, I'm still not that close. If I took a few, I don't think I want to counterfeit the golds quite yet. But if I took a few counterfeits, like if I do skulk, horses, counterfeit, I'm probably threatening a pile very soon. Counterfeit's a lot of buys. Like the first counterfeit is plus 1 buy, but then on the final turn of the game, you counterfeit, you counterfeit, you counterfeit, you counterfeit, and then you counterfeit all the golds. And like counterfeit, counterfeiting, counterfeit, counterfeiting 2 golds is 1 more buy and 1 more money than counterfeiting a gold and counterfeiting a gold, because you played that second counterfeit twice. And so if you have a bunch of counterfeits, every counterfeit after the first one is like 2 buys, 2 money, plus doubling a treasure. And so the buys scale up pretty fast. So like next turn, I counterfeit 3 counterfeits, counterfeit a bunch of golds, that's like 5 extra buys, 6 buys, a few from the skulks, I now have an extra skulk, toil some horses, and I feel like an estate pile out should show up pretty soon. I'll need some points. Could buy the province now, just buy like another livery, another skulk or something. I'm gonna say province. I'm looking at the horse pile and it's at 9, and how many liveries did I play? 4 of them. Yeah, so like the upside of not buying province is I could buy 3 things costing 4 or more, but I wouldn't even be able to get 12 horses. I'd get 1 extra horse out of all that, which seems like not worth the effort. Maybe another counter. I don't have 4 treasures to counterfeit, so that the last counterfeit buys, but it's not very much money. Doesn't really matter very much, I don't think. Another village? I don't know. I'll buy a pixie, because I can afford that. Like another counterfeit is saying I definitely want to win the game next turn, which I can, but I don't need to play around that. So maybe the safest thing is just to buy another village, I suppose. Make sure I don't dud. Alright, bot, you have 1 horse to gain. Plus whatever horses are already currently in its deck, which can't be very many, given that it has like 13 total cards. There was a candidate in the United States for the House of Representatives, I think, back like, I think this was the 2010 midterms. I don't remember her name. Wait, maybe I do. I think her name was Christine O'Donnell. I could be totally wrong. I'm sorry if there's a Christine O'Donnell out there who I'm about to defame. But there was a candidate named Christine O'Donnell, I think, who she was running for office, and the big scandal that she had to deal with was it came out that like in her youth she had some brief indiscretions where she dabbled in witchcraft, and so there's an actual campaign ad out there by this candidate where she's like, I'm not a witch, I'm you. And like that was her key selling point, was I promise I'm not a witch, really, I've outgrown my witch phase. And I feel like that's kind of what Hardbot's going through at the moment, is like now it's trying to play a nice upstanding deck with the liveries and the horses and stuff, but it's saddled with this albatross around its deck of having wasted 2 of its turns early on buying covens, and now there's no horses to go around. Horse, 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 horse. Village. I get to do the thing. At this point it doesn't even matter really, because I have all the horses in the world, but it feels nice. You get to hear the little ding of a job well done. I don't have a province yet. Let's exile a province. 3 money, joyous. Play a few of these. Play a pixie, good boon, pretty please. That's not a good boon. I mean, it would be a good boon if I pulled it like turn 3. Come on, pixies, you can do better. I'm just gonna attack them. This was probably a mistake. I was wanting to get misery just so estates alone will be enough. Probably just the 3 extra money would have been more worth it. Alas. This has got to be a win, right? Click first, ask those questions later. Oh, and now I feel extra foolish. This was just 5 provinces if I played any of those skulks for money at all. Oopsie daisy. I have 39. I wasn't even thinking about provinces. But apparently, yeah, instead of just attacking the bot repeatedly while it was down, I could have just monkey. Even one of those would have gotten me over the threshold. So how about piles? Pixie, estate, curse is 11, 13 buys. I would score 6 off of that. I'd be at 9, so I'd have to buy a province on top of that. So, money-wise, that would cost me 16, 22, 28, right? 16, 22, 28, and 8, 11, 13, 14 buys would be enough. I got that. And then some. Or you know what I could do? We can go estate, 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 pixie, 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 curse, discard, curse. We'll buy Dame Josephine just so she can feel wanted. Yep. Coven. Again, it's a fine card in weak kingdoms. This is just not a weak kingdom. And it's a very bad card in good kingdoms because I had to assist the bot in emptying the curses because it couldn't even empty the curses before the game ended. So that was a bit of a doozy. And like half in, half out doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you slow down to buy the covens, you're getting to the liveries too late, and then the deck never really kicks off. Yeah. Ignore the Dame Josephine. You should not have Dame Josephine in your deck. Everything else here I think makes a lot of sense. You get thin early, bounty hunter opening is non-optional, you take some liveries, you buy some skulks, and then everything goes swoop straight up from there.